Have you ever noticed this phenomenon?
I gotta understand that I'm not paying for
Rude boy, it's a white boy summer. Bad gal.
Kill me, get your ass in here.
You gonna roll up to that wedding, you gonna be like, fuck, bitch.
Boy, you not on shit, my nigga. Please don't play around. Damn me dead, my nigga. I heard gun sound. Don't need no pole. I'm winning fights. Come on, now check.
BLACCENT.
What is BLACCENT and why are black people addicted to it? Let's talk about this shit.
The name, it's a portmanteau of black and accent. So BLACCENT, or what I'm thinking of as vocal blackface, are kind of interchangeable. They're both instances of people who are not black adopting African American English or African American vernacular English.
Bitch, I do that still? Okay. The fuck?
Ride with the mob, hop through our law, check you and me, and do your job. Merc is the name, Bona did the chain, 20 for the watch, present plain Jane.
Probably your most famous case of BLACCENT will be Elvis Presley. There's none more famous than Elvis. Elvis started out making a different kind of rock and roll, and eventually he listened to a lot of what they called at the time race records, which was black folks. And through listening to these race records, he adopted some swag, you know what I'm saying? So Elvis came back on the scene. And, you know, his big hit at the time, Hound Dog, where, you know, he just hooping and hollering, bouncing around, was actually a cover. It was actually a cover from an artist named Big Mama Thornton, who never got her credit due to rock and roll. And, yeah, Elvis made it famous. Elvis is probably one of the most looked at artists of our time, and he definitely benefited from BLACCENT. And at the time, black people wasn't fond of BLACCENT. Our grandfathers and granddaddies, they wasn't buying that shit. They wasn't buying the BLACCENT. But in this day and age, black people love it.
Little bitch plus a 10 in the face, but I still put a bitch in her place.
Before you had Elvis, you actually had Amos and Andy. Shit was terrible.
Wait a second. So Elvis sang like black musicians and became the king of rock and roll. But it looks like the trend of white people speaking like black folks started even earlier.
One of the earliest examples of vocal blackface was definitely the radio show Amos and Andy.
Andy, wake up, wake up. Hello? Ain't answering the telephone. This here. Come in here and wake me up like this.
It premiered in 1928, and it was wildly popular and successful. Millions of Americans tuned in 5 nights a week to listen to these two white actors who got their start on the minstrel and vaudeville stages basically perform as black men. There was this sort of racial tension and anxiety caused by the Great Migration. Millions of people fleeing from the South in order to escape restrictive laws and racist laws, as well as class tension and anxiety caused by the Great Depression. And so people were looking for ways, particularly white people were looking for ways to reinstate or reaffirm their control on the racial hierarchy of this country. And I think that made the show, Amos and Andy, even more appealing to these audiences.
So appealing that they made spin-off movies,
The Kingfish is coming over to talk over a big proposition.
cartoons,
Andy!
even a TV show.
Well, boys, it look like I's the big winner.
The Amos and Andy show actually led to the first all-black cast of a television show in history, and I think that complicates the ways that we have to look at its legacy. These actors who were on the show were instructed to maintain the BLACCENT and maintain the sort of caricature of the earlier radio program because that's what made it successful, and the producers of the show thought it was more authentic.
How do you do there? Tweet.
By forcing these actors into sort of a narrow role, they were essentially forced to adopt this really stereotypical version of themselves and reflect back to white audiences what they expected more than what was actually authentic to the black experience.
Where's that husband of mine? He didn't come home last night. He left us note saying he was going away to make his fortune and he'd send to me later.
In some ways, it gave opportunity to black actors who were looking to express their talents, and in other ways, it perpetuated the violence and the racial stereotyping of the original program.
Now we move on to the current day with influencers like Aquafina and, you know, grandmas rapping on the internet. And it's just out of control at this point. But the part that gets me is black people love this shit. And black people are the people that push this shit and make this shit go farther. Why? I don't know. Like, but one thing about being black is just, being black is not a costume you can wear. You just can't take this shit off when you want to. Being black is not a mask that I can just pull off. You know what I'm saying? When the cops pull me over. It's way deeper than that. And like, people need to take their culture serious. And like, I really don't find it funny at all. Like,
But it sounds like a lot of people on the internet speak with a black scent now.
When someone says like period, cis, whatever, snatch, all that it's very much like internet culture.
I think the argument that internet lingo or teen speak is synonymous with BLACCENT is actually quite harmful and can be really a slippery slope, because in some ways it normalizes adopting and appropriating black accent or adopting and appropriating black culture as just being the norm. While some folks are saying, well, it's internet lingo, it's internet speak, they're also, you know, becoming huge TikTok celebrities and influencers off of doing these actions.
11, 10, 9.
When a black person does adopt, say, you know, AAVE, they're seen as ungrammatical, less professional, less desirable, and less likely to be hired.
Wow.
What does it mean to quote-unquote sound black? Oftentimes, when celebrities or creators are accused of talking black, their speech doesn't actually resemble the average black person. If that was their goal, I mean, they would just simply talk in their everyday voice, which would more closely resemble how the average person talks, black or white. But no, what we're seeing instead is a hyperbolic exaggeration of black culture that's being used by non-black creators. The problem isn't necessarily white people trying to sound like a black person. The problem is white people trying to sound like a caricature of a black person. A caricature that is deeply rooted in racist stereotypes. Many of these stereotypes date back to minstrel shows and the bygone era of blackface. Everything from the shoe polish, to the big ears, to the red lips, were all meant to be an exaggeration of black people. It was more than just being made fun of. Our very existence was the punchline. And I think the uncomfortable truth that people don't want to acknowledge is that while we look back and condemn blackface as clearly racist, the mentality behind it hasn't fully gone away. I mean, sure, society doesn't accept people just walking around in black face paint anymore. But we have, however, gotten too comfortable with the idea of adopting a persona that is based on the stereotype of the ghetto black person, and have allowed these individuals to use this caricature for clout. And look, I don't mean to get in my Dr. Umar bag, but come on. My For You page is just video after video profiting from black art and black vernacular. And look, I don't fully blame them. In today's society, cool is currency. And everything about our culture, from our fashion, to our music, to our language, has become synonymous with cool. To me, there is a key distinction between admiration and exaggeration. There's a reason why the black community embraces certain white rappers and not other ones. We can tell the difference between someone who has a genuine respect for the culture and someone who is simply using it as a character because it's trendy, only to drop that persona once they get bored of it. This in itself is a major aspect of white privilege. The idea that you can use a BLACCENT to advance your career, but then drop it once it no longer benefits you. Being black isn't a mask that I can take on and off. Whether I'm chilling with my friends, or at a job interview, or talking to a cop, or just by myself, I am black, no matter what. But in all honesty, do I think Aquafina or Billie Eilish or the thousands of TikTok creators that use Ebonics in their videos should be canceled or anything? Well, no, I don't. Nor do I think that all slang should only be spoken by black people. Like I said, the problem isn't white people enjoying aspects of black culture. The problem is when black culture isn't respected, when it's treated like a piece of clothing that sits in your closet until it's fashionable to put on again. That is the problem. So, the next time Aquafina wants to do a BLACCENT for easy laughs in a movie, or some girl named Becky from fucking Ohio or something wants to wear fake lashes and say, "Yas Queen" on TikTok, my only hope is that they're honest with themselves and really ask, what exactly am I trying to achieve here?